creepy accident on the highway. The incident that happened to me last fall, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I dream about it over and over, and I wake up in a cold sweat. So I want to share it with you. I may feel better then. I stayed at work late that night. It was Friday. My folks were all at the cottage in the country. I took the train to my station in the suburbs, and then I had to take the bus. I was standing at the bus stop. It was cold and windy, pretty unpleasant. I looked at the bus schedule and saw that I still had to wait about 40 minutes. I thought I could hitchhike for a small fee. I got to the side of the road and stretched out my arm. I had to stand there for a long time. There weren't many cars, and nobody rushed to stop. One guy pulled up. I told him where to go, and he charged me so much. I gave up anyway. I kept standing there, waiting to see if I can get lucky and a kind soul would show up. After a while, an old car pulled up. A shabby crimson station wagon, the one that was out of production back in the Soviet times. I opened the door and looked inside. It felt like putting my head in the freezer. Wow, I thought. Air conditioning? What for? It's freezing outside. The heater would be much better. He slapped on the front seat and smiled without a word. I said, I'm going to Zhdanovka. I won't get there. About a kilometer. But you can make it on your own. If you can, he replied. He smiled again, so broadly, as if he'd been waiting to meet me all his life. The man looked strange to me at the first glance. His lips stretched in a smile, as if they were pulled by strings, and his face was like a wax mask, steady as a rock. So were his eyes, like those of a dead fish, puffed up and dirty white. Drunk or stoned, I decided, and stepped back to slam the car door. He suddenly skewed in my direction and wouldn't let me close the door. Get in. I'm not taking any money. Why are you so scared? I looked at his hand. His fingers didn't move, like those of a mannequin, stoned in one position. Then the light of a lantern lit up his face a bit brighter than the dim bulb in the car. The combination of the look in his eyes, his complexion, and the mass of his hair sent me into a fit of uncontrollable fear. I left the unclosed door, turned around, and raced to the bus stop where several people had already gathered waiting for the bus. I hid myself among them, took a breath, and looked around. The car was gone. Thanks goodness, I thought. Then I felt a little embarrassed, trying to analyze what might have scared the hell out of me. Well, a man got drunk and went for a ride, got hot from his hot drinks, turned the air conditioner on full blast, saw a hitchhiker, stopped, just wanted to chat on the road, and I dashed away like a freaking deer. I must have given him a good laugh. Anyway, I didn't try to hitchhike anymore. I waited for the bus with the others. Meanwhile, it was half an hour behind schedule. As I approached my destination, the village of Zhdanovka, I saw a car accident. My heart felt unpleasantly tingling, and yet, in spite of my tiredness and cold, I got off the bus one stop earlier and headed to the accident site. There had already been some police cars and an ambulance around. As I got closer, I realized that it was that same old car, or rather a pile of torn iron wrapped around a concrete pole. I asked the doctor about the driver, to which he waved his hand. Then he asked me if I had known the dead man. I said I didn't, and staggered towards my village. The events of that night flashed through my mind. The cold in the cabin. I shivered. Then it struck me. What the hell? An ancient car, air conditioning. Just then I saw a sign, 1 kilometer to Zhdanovka. The man's words suddenly struck me like a lightning. I won't get there. About a kilometer, but you can make it on your own. If you can. Yeah, I thought. I don't think I could have made it if I'd gone with him after all. Maybe kind of a gut feeling, trying to save me from death, had drawn in my brain, and the whitish eyes, and then natural facial features, and the wild cold in the cabin frightened me out of my wits. I don't know. To this day I still dream about that car and that man. Like we both are driving along, laughing, and then it takes my breath away and we fall into the abyss, and then I wake up in a cold sweat.